Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. My name is Cindy, and I'm a community specialist at Prodigy Finance. We're just going to give everybody a few seconds to join, and then we will kickstart. While we're waiting for everybody to join, please could you just pop where you are currently dialing in from? So where are you currently located in the world? I'm hailing from Cape Town, South Africa. It's a bit cloudy today. But yeah, let us know in the Q&A chat where you are calling from or dialing in from. All right. We have Kundan, who is joining us from Pakistan. Welcome. Karachi, Pakistan. Welcome so much. It's so good to have you here, Kundan. Then we also have someone calling in from Nepal. Welcome. How's Nepal doing today? We have someone from Zimbabwe. Welcome. Somebody else from Pakistan as well. Welcome, Jashan. So good to have you here. Okay, today's a very special webinar. We have a special guest. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that he is on the call. Let's just give it a few seconds. Okay. Nikhil, are you with us? Let's just give it a few seconds. I am so excited to be inviting this special guest with us today. Okay, let's go to the chats to see where everybody is calling from. Okay, we have Shama, who is calling in from or dialing in from Zimbabwe, and someone joining us from Spain. Welcome. I love all the different locations, truly a global. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's a very special webinar. We have one of Prodigy Finance partners, Foreign Admits. They are joining us to talk about shortlisting universities. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, you can pop it in the chat and Nikhil will answer them. I am just trying to get Nikhil onto this call. And there he has joined us. Hi, Nikhil. Can you hear us? Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Yes, you are. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you. All right, so let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're really thrilled that you are here. Our special guest today is Nikhil Jain. He's the founder and the CEO of Foreign Admits and of VisaMonk.ai. Nikhil is a student himself, an alumni. I believe that, you've been to 3 universities, Monash being one of them. You also a 2024 Stanford Seed winner, and his AI-powered platform, Foreign Admits, has impacted over 80,000 students globally.
Thank you.
Nikhil also leads Visa Monk AI, which is the first AI powered US visa interview prep platform. His ventures are backed by Microsoft for startups and Amazon Activate. A former full scholarship recipient, Nikhil is passionate about transforming the study abroad journey and has mentored over 3,000 students, international students. So join me in welcoming Nikhil. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, Today, he'll share his expertise on strategic university shortlisting, making informed choices in 2025's dynamic education landscape. Handing over to you, Nikhil.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this session. I'm pretty excited to talk to a lot of students who are going towards study abroad. To give a brief background about myself, a bit like I have been in your place, mentally, financially, academically, and I've been a student myself before I started foreign admits. So I would totally be okay, if whatever you're feeling, be okay with it. It's fine. You know, 2025 is going to be a very dynamic year. There are a lot of changes that you will see geopolitically, immigration wise, university fees changes wise, student accommodation wise, and even financing wise. And then on the job markets are also transitioning. There are a lot of new destinations that are growing that way. So we will deep dive into some of these areas. So stay tuned on this. We track a lot of students' progress in terms of their application, shortlisting, loans, visa prep. So I have an understanding of how the students picks up their university and the course and how they end up, completing that. So we'll definitely talk more about shortlisting in depth with more reasoning and more smart choices. Uh, just a plug in that we have built a platform called mydreamuniversity.in. And if you go to that website, we have built a very simple thing which will also help you to shortlist the universities basis on that profile and give you recommendations like instantly. But yeah, more the science behind it, the art of university shortlisting, we'll get into that. Now, coming to the university shortlisting, let's understand the current global landscape. Most of you would have looked towards US, UK, Canada, Australia, Germany, Ireland, and so many more popular destinations. There are some new destinations also that we will look at and how they are going ahead, and why you should also look at those destinations, given that some of the popular destinations are not accepting international students to an extent that was previously there. Okay. Now, coming to the current trends and future outlook of student immigration, the cost of education is growing almost year over year, especially in US or UK or Canada or Australia. The cost of education has increased by quite some margin, and the inflation is also impacting for some of the countries that you come from, maybe from India, Asia, or Africa. That way there's a good inflation impact that you need to be aware of. Now, there are new hubs in education that is also forming, given that these countries require more skilled STEM talent. STEM skilled talent are globally in demand, but in certain countries, the demand is exorbitantly high. Okay. Some of the countries like Germany, Ireland, Spain, these are the European destinations that are looking for more skilled STEM talent, including Norway, Finland, that way. And then the traditional destinations that you used to go, like US, with the new, I would say, president in place, their primary focus is more towards inviting more skilled talents, and their primary focus is to invite towards quality talent. So you have to be a little cautious in choosing your university and the kind of course when you're looking towards US that way. There's a lot of shift in the visa policies and the post-study work opportunities that is currently happening. If you look at UK, they have already introduced the 2 years post-study work visa, but they have lately changed last year or a little before that, that dependents may not be allowed. So a lot of you who are looking at bringing dependents, there is still a hope that you can look towards MRes programs in the UK, Masters in Research based program, where there's a chance of bringing your dependents that way. And if you look at Canada, the DLI and the public private partnered colleges, those are badly hit currently in terms of bringing students. So if you're going towards Canada, always focus towards a master's degree program rather a diploma program. That's my experience-based suggestion. Again, I'm not saying the diplomas are not good, but given the overall scenario in Canada, it's better to pick up a good degree program from maybe top 20, top 25 rank Canadian universities. That would be a much safer options. Yes, the checks have increased, so you have to work a little harder in terms of convincing the immigration officers about your intent to visit in Canada. That would be there. Now, coming towards the Germany side of it, Germany is inviting a lot of students, international students, specifically from India. That way, a lot of Indian students also they are inviting. Even people from Africa is also picking up Germany. That way, people from Southeast Asia also have started picking up Germany. The reason being, Germany as a country is looking at more skilled talent to come in. There is, however, a demand of vocational talent, tech talent, even engineering talent that way is growing in Germany. So that way you can always pick up Germany. If language is something that you want to skip and you want to be something like an English speaking country, you can definitely look towards Ireland that way. Netherlands is also becoming a little mixed destination with Dutch and English. And a fun fact, like in Portugal also, most of the citizens are mandated to speak English. So even you can look towards Portugal, which is a very offbeat destination, but pretty good with when you're looking at marketing or management kind of roles, and even in sustainability domain. Okay. Now, we will pick up certain factors, growth sectors, industry demand by regions, and then we will look towards how the shortlisting could happen. When we look at the tech talent, right now tech talent is overflown in the US. They are still needed in UK, and in Canada also they are still needed. In Germany, they are needed by large, or rather, I'll say Germany, it's more of a Europe. Europe need more tech talents. They kind of have missed the bus of technology transformation when US was, riding on the wave. So they are looking at more quality of tech talent. However, in Asia also, if you look at Singapore or Japan, Hong Kong, they are also inviting a lot of international students, specifically in STEM and purely in tech or business, because the industry requires that kind of a talent. So you also have a scope to go to Singapore or Japan or China that way to study. Okay. Now, there are few economic considerations that you need to also look into it. If you're coming from a country where currency fluctuations is pretty high, you have to also take into consideration your education financing perspective. A lot of students that I see, and because we've been into this space from a while, that students usually look towards applying to the university without knowing that whether they will get an education loan or not. So something that I believe Prodigy Finance platform can help you in some ways, that you can always explore the schools that has been supported by Prodigy Finance, maybe some other lenders that you want to explore, but understand first your education financing eligibility, that are you eligible to get a loan if you are depending on loan that way, right? So understand your education financing eligibility, understand your credit profile that way. Maybe a 30 minutes or 20 minutes of loan test application Prodigy Finance for your targeted university could help you get an idea that, hey, can you get a loan, maybe from Prodigy that way, right? So if you are getting a loan, then it's worth applying for your higher education to that university or to that country, right? Else you have to figure out scholarships or maybe some other sources of funding to be able to manage that. So smarter students, what they do, they make a shortlist and then they kind of go through, loan application assessment at Prodigy that way, see if they are funded, supported by Prodigy in that sense. And then whichever is not, they just probably leave it if they are not getting loan for that university, and whichever university is supported, they kind of go for admission to those university. So this is one of the simple tactics to ensure that your shortlist is loan proof, which means that you are not getting embarrassed in the last minute that, hey, you got an offer letter, but there's no education financing for you. So that is, I hope that helps. If that helps, probably say, yes or no in the chat if that's okay. Now, beyond education financing, you also need to look at the job market's projections. If you're looking at the for next 2 to 3 years of job market, because let's say you're going for 2025 or early 2026, you'll be graduating in 26 or 27, right? So in that scenario, you have to look at the economies, how the countries are growing, which areas are, transforming in certain countries. So from my particular understanding, US and Europe are going to be the top leaders in the job market because of the sheer demand of quality talent. US, you may see certain, I would say, current media's sentiments may not be supporting that much, but trust me, all the quality applicants and the quality universities are not even touched by this because the current agenda of US is more towards cutting down on false immigration and promote only quality immigrations, right? Because again, international students or international immigrations have contributed a lot to the US economy. And now Europe, because Europeans are largely looking at skilled STEM talent because of the population crisis in that sense. And usually I've seen a lot of Indians, a lot of Southeast Asians, even people from Middle East or Africa, prefer Europe because of the high quality of education, with affordable tuition fees, and better quality of jobs and work-life balance. One of the best things of Europe, right? Yes, there would be certain things about socializing and the language. So when you're choosing those universities, socializing and language perspective, you might need to look into it. It's better to learn a bit of that language, if not probably like getting a degree, but better to learn some bits and pieces to have socializing there. Okay. Now, major areas of the regional economic stability side of it. Um, if you're pursuing maybe a year master's in the US, I would recommend you to look towards a 2 years master's so that you have enough time when you're graduating by the time I would say, the decisioning, the media agenda, the political agenda would get properly stabilized for you to figure out. So many students are looking instead of a 1 year master's, they're going for a 2 years master's. That is also some of the students' trends that we see. So that it helps them to ensure once they graduate, the economy and the trade relationships are stable that way. Now, other thing is if you're looking at scholarships, then it's better to do your education financing analysis pre-hand before you make an application so that you can aggressively plan for your scholarships. Definitely, a lot of universities do give scholarship, and if you probably go to mydreamuniversity.in, there is a way that you can figure out which university and course is giving scholarship, right? Now, coming to the university selection framework, okay, we will talk about academic factors that you need to consider, the career impact factor that you need to consider, the financial planning, which is a very important factor. Okay, so on these factors, we are going to define how can you shortlist universities. Okay, don't go, first of all, we'll go for I would say don'ts, and then we'll go for do's, right? Because there are too many don'ts and very limited do's. So don't go because your peers are going for XYZ university or a particular country you want to go. That's not a right way to look into it. You always need to understand what fits in for you because every person's academic journey and interest and cultural thing will be different. There might be a coincidence that you may end up in the same, but that's a coincidence, right? The major thing that you need to understand nowadays, and especially in international education, that program structure and program specialization matters a lot to the companies. They would want to hire specialists if you are going there for masters. They do not want to usually hire generalists, right? Number two is the research opportunities or industry connections. If you're going for research roles, having good labs, having good research collaborations inter-university or in university and I would say industry collaborations would be really important. So that's why industry connections is important. So understanding if the university gives a co-op opportunities or not, if the university have a provision for an internship or not, if the university have a provision for student exchange or not. Some of the things that you can also look at, Erasmus Munda, Chevening. So those are the some of the opportunities that helps you travel between multiple universities to do your masters. Okay. Now, third and very key thing, if you're going into the research side of it, understand the faculty expertise and department or subject specific rankings. Okay. Um, Maybe some university at some ranking site is on top 20, but for your specialization, it might be in top 50 or top 100. So you need to understand how the university is for your subject and for your specialization, rather than blindly getting into a particular university just based on the global ranking. You have to also look at regional ranking, or rather say national ranking, and subject specific ranking. Okay. So those are the, I think, areas that you need to understand before you make a decision basis on only ranking. A lot of students do this mistake. "Oh, this is a 10th rank university, 12th rank university." Don't go behind that. I'll tell you, I got into Monash, which happens to be Australia's, I think, top two university. On the contrary, I had to leave one of the top ranked universities in the US because of the education financing side, because of the research depth side that I was getting in Australia, and even the post, graduate visa that we get. Right. And one of the best decisions, honestly. So it's not about just the rankings. Don't get over obsessed about it. It's about what you can get out of that college. It's the most important thing. Okay. Now, then I think one of the areas that you could look at is the academic calendar and intake options, because you may not want to be too late in applying. I've seen a lot of super meritorious candidates with maybe a very high GRE score like 320, 330 are also not able to secure admissions in one of their target universities. The primary reason was late application. So to get one of the best applications with very good scholarship despite a decent profile is time of application and quality of applications. Quality of application will definitely deep dive, some of the time, or I'll give you a tidbit around it. But the timing of applications is very, very important. You don't want to be too late, okay, so that you do not have any chance. And at the same time, if you're not prepared, you don't want to be too early also, that you go half prepared around it, okay. So understand what is the intake, what are the timelines of the applications, and do not be that guy who submit on the last day, because hey, something happens, your application gets screwed up that way, right? Now, one of the areas that a lot of times you will face difficulties, and probably you can look across the site that I gave you, is admission requirement and fitment and the competition level, right? So naturally, the top ranked universities, will have a competition level, and a lot of students are going to apply. I'll give you two very interesting industry insights. Is universities have free applications or application fee waiver are the ones where volume will be high, naturally at the late stage, and then the chances of you cracking that, the potential review would be a little low. So oftentimes universities do application fee waiver to support the students, and sometimes they do it because they're not getting more quality applications. That is a chance, but then the volume of applications to those universities would be pretty darn high. So you have to ensure that you're writing applications with good quality to be able to better, stand out in that. And then many top ranked universities do not give application fee waiver. They want to, probably churn the crowd. So be okay in paying the application fee, but understand if your profile is fitting to their number one minimum eligibility criteria. Okay. Number two, how much from the minimum eligibility criteria your profile is better. Let's say if they've asked for 60%, then if you're having 61%, so that university might be really ambitious unless you have a very good GRE score to back it off. If they've asked for minimum 60% and you're at 80 or 90%, it could be a moderate or a safe university that way. Just speaking on one factor, but then, okay, do not double click on one factor. There are multiple factors apart from GPA that you need to look into it. Now, once you have cracked the minimum eligibility criteria, you might be sitting with maybe 20, 30, 50, or even 100 universities and courses from maybe 2000 or 3000, right? Now, from there, you have to put a filter of career impact. Like which universities has in the better industry partnership, which university has made public their placement records, okay, which university has a very high alumni strength, which university have even internship options or opportunities or co-op, okay, and which university have very good career service resource. These are the things that you can probably put layers on your shortlist to understand it. Now, why these factors are important? University having better industry partnership would have a better recognition among the industries. Okay. And naturally, they will also hold a better placement record. Okay. University having higher alumni strength or the larger alumni network, you would have more people to reach out as an alumni to probably look for mentorship, look for a job site, all of those things you can explore it. Okay. And alumni plays a very, very good role in ensuring that you are being properly guided. I'll give you one example, in that sense. A lot of my internships, jobs, even my seed funding was powered through my alumni. So a good college with a rich alumni network is an asset that you will have throughout your life. So choose your college wisely. Internship opportunities or co-op opportunities are pretty good, because that it gives you during your academic tenure more practical exposures. If you look at in US, the Boston area is very popular in the US for co-op opportunities. And in UK, you get a placement here. That way, you can always opt for that. It will help you to, number one, find placement or probably get some leverage from the college to help you out find some 1 year of traineeship or internship that way, and it extends your stay in the UK that way. So I think these are the areas that you should look at it. I'm not covering every country by country right now, but I'll cover in the last a little bit more about that. Okay. Now, to go beyond this, I think one of the areas that I can literally cover right now is the post-study work rights. If you do not get too much of a, too less of a post-study work rights, then getting into a course which is super expensive is a risky option unless you have well thought out plan. Let's say you're going for a course where you are only getting 1 year of post-study work visa and you're paying maybe $100,000 or even more. Then it becomes really risky for you that if you don't get a job, how would you pay back the loan unless if you have something planned in your home country that will help you get a proper job and you are able to pay back. That's another thing, right? So usually look for countries and the course which gives you maximum post-study work visa so that it helps you to probably gain some international exposure, probably earn some decent amount of job salaries, or maybe explore some startup opportunities that way, so that you have some time to figure out things and be able to pay for your loans or probably have better exposure in that country or probably become a more global citizen that way, right? So those are the areas that you should look at it. Now, coming from the very important financial standpoint, understand the cost breakdown, by country or region. So if I give you an example, if people are from here for masters, in US, you ideally do masters. There are two or three levels of the universities. Universities who charge somewhere around $10,000 to $20,000 per year. University who charge somewhere around $20,000 to $50,000 per year, and university who charge somewhere upward of 50 to even 75 or $100,000 per year. Okay. Now, 75 to $100,000 is usually charged in the MBA or the B schools in the US. Okay. 10 to $20,000 usually charged in the masters. Okay. If you're in bachelor's, it's somewhere in 20 to $60,000 per year. Okay. These are the major tuition fees, and the living expenses is separate. So understanding the living expenses is also key, because nowadays tuition fees and living expenses are almost getting equal. So if you're living in New York, you might be spending almost $1,500 on an average per month. If you're living in a very thrifty manner, if you're living a little lavish, it might go even to $3,000 a month, right? On the other hand, if you're living in Arizona or Texas, it might be less than $1,000 a month. So you need to understand certain times living expenses also plays a big role. Okay. And same pattern you can see in London, where the living expenses could be upward of £1,000 a month, wherein is Birmingham or other outside London, it will be less than maybe 700 or £600 a month, the entire living and education. Okay. Now, on the living expenses trends, certain times incorporating them in your loan helps. So sometimes you may feel you have some personal savings, some personal expenses, but it's not a wise thing to risk your personal liquidity. It's always good to take the loan to cover the entire side of it, and you use it as per your need. Because, hey, just giving you finance 101, you will not be charged the interest for the funds that you don't use, beat any lender in the world, ideally, okay, or any legit lender in the world that way. Okay. So if you are maybe having a loan of maybe $50,000, and if you used only $30,000, maybe for tuition and living, your interest only comes on $30,000, not on the remaining 20 also. So it's better to have that amount, but not to use it. That's up to you. If you are getting an internship or some part-time jobs, you can use that for your personal expenses, and you do not choose to use the loan amount that way. So in that case, you can always reduce your interest rate, but it is as an interest, not interest rate, and you would not be burdened financially more. But it's good to safeguard your expenses through the loan side of it. Okay. And then definitely there are a lot of tax benefits. If your parents have a tax liability in the US or UK, you can always look towards loan. And just like Prodigy Finance, to what I know, that taking loan from Prodigy Finance helps build your credit history, which is very, very beneficial internationally, because you would need a credit card, you would need probably in future car loan or home loan, or if you want to look towards some other education next time, then you would need another education loan, right? So in that case, it would be really helpful to take it from an international lender, and that way Prodigy loan would be really helpful. Now, coming to the part-time work regulations, if you're going to study abroad, I believe many of you would be looking towards working part-time alongside with your education. Just a disclaimer, do not cross your permissible limits of part-time work and do not do anything illegal. But it's good always to do some part-time jobs, maybe at the campus or outside campus, depending on the regulations that you would be deemed in. Usually, most countries give 20 hours per week as a part-time job in the regular. I think in holidays, it goes up a little bit, maybe to 40 hours a week. So those are the things that you can always use to, reduce your living expenses. But it's important to know that what are the part-time job rates, minimum pay wage rates, or the average pay wage rates for your kind of part-time jobs that you're looking at in those areas that you're going to study. So those are the areas also that you can probably pay attention. But again, do not put this as a primary parameter. Put this as the last or the tertiary parameter. Because here you do not want to change a university from NYU to some other university because the part-time jobs are less, right? So those are good things, but not the always things that you need it that way. Now, scholarships are a very key part. If financing is a crunch, and you're not able to look towards fully financed, it's always good to look towards scholarships. However, I would recommend you not to keep this as a deciding factor, given that certain high rank universities or certain really good ROI universities may not be giving extreme scholarships, but because of their graduate outcomes, which is pretty good. So they have understood that, hey, the students will get a good job and they'll be able to pay it off. So there's no need for them to get too many scholarships. Okay. And public universities who are charging less tuition fees naturally does not give a lot of scholarships that way. Okay. So do keep opportunities for scholarships in your shortlisting. Which universities gives what scholarships? You can again find it out on My Dream University that way. But yeah, there are a lot of scholarships out there, country-wise, Chevening, Erasmus Mundus, Stanford GSB, Fulbright. Some of them are really mighty scholarship, which can even cover the full tuition fees. Some might cover a part of it, but it's always good to have some scholarships from the universities. And most important thing while you're doing the university shortlisting, ROI analysis. And hey, I'm not just talking about the ROI as per your living expenses or probably your salaries. You paid $50,000 in your education and you got maybe $100,000 job, so you got a 2x ROI. No, I'm not talking about that right now. For that, I think you can definitely use, I think there's a tool on Prodigy Finance website, which is salary calculator. So that can help you understand a bit more about the ROI. What I'm looking at in the ROI is still long term, 5 year, 10 year down the line. Is this country helped? Is this course helped? Is the alumni be able to, you're able to make benefit out of it, right? Those are the areas that you look at it. You wanted to get into data science. Is that country right enough? Are there enough job opportunities in that? Those are the areas that you need to look at. to be able to do some kind of an ROI analysis. Okay. Now, let me give you a little bit about most of these destinations. The traditional destinations that we look at, please put it in the chat if you believe there is some other things that you want to understand in that. I'll definitely be more than happy to help you. I see a lot of questions coming in. Don't worry. I'll answer most of them, pretty quickly that way. But let me cover some of the key insights so that you are able to not make much mistakes and you're able to solve some of those, key areas of decision. So traditional destinations is US, UK, Australia or Canada that way usually. And US mainly focus on STEM research opportunities and their primary supporting OPT, which is optional practical training, which is again linked with the STEM courses and the STEM jobs. US ideally from since 1940s or 1950s always wanted STEM workers. Okay. UK has increased their, I think, post-study work visa duration. They are more supporting international students. They have improved some graduate route changes. And UK in the student market is more popular for finance or biotech or life sciences or maybe marketing-oriented courses. Even law is a very popular course in UK that way. Okay. We have seen less interest in the typical engineering fields, but in the tech, UK has also been one of the primary destinations for focus among the students. If you look at Australia, apart from tech and management, which is anyway growing in Australia, management slightly less, tech slightly more. Australia is also a very popular hub for civil engineering, mining engineering, petroleum engineering in that sense, and environmental engineering, humanities, psychology. So those are the areas that Australia is also being preferred by the international students. Now, if you look at Canada again, oil and gas is definitely there. Environment sustainability is a pretty good area. Social work is a pretty good area, along with tech and business. Okay. Tech and business more or less goes everywhere, pretty strong. Again, focusing on the new age skills, AI driven, data science or data driven business analytics, all of those things are always preferred. Germany, if you look at it, but before we go jump to Germany, let me speak a little bit about Canada that way. Canada, you may be seeing a lot of media news that here they're changing a lot of policies. Yes, they are. And there's a lot of history, and you might even know it. Every country wants quality immigrations so that it kind of maintains the stability in the country. And Canada is just trying to do that, right? So you can always look to pursue the top destinations like in Canada, like British Columbia or Toronto, Vancouver, that way, so that you will be in the major tech hubs. In fact, Waterloo is one of the startup ecosystem in Canada that way that you can always explore. Okay. Now, in Germany, a lot of low budget or free education are there. Germany is always popular for manufacturing sector, so mechanical, civil, electronics, electrical engineering has always been growing. Even now with the tech differentiation and their focus on sheer sustainability are the areas that you can look towards when you're looking at Germany. Okay, the challenge in Germany is language for certain public university language barrier and the complicated application process. If you are applying for Germany, it probably takes 6 to 9 months of window of application process itself because there's too many complicated application process when you're making a Germany applications for the public universities. I'm not talking about the private ones, but for the public university, that's how the complicated process is. US, it's a pretty standard. I think there are three intakes. One is fall, one is spring, and then one is a smallest intake called summer. Fall is in August, September, or October. Spring is in Jan, or December, Jan. That way, and summer is in May, June. UK also has these three intakes, and Australia has a slightly different intake. They have one of the primary intake is July, then a minor intake in October, November, and then another intake is in February. So if you're looking to Australia, you might need to know about these intakes are better. And usually the thumb rule is 6 months before the intake closes, your application should have been done and you should be looking towards the visa side of it or loan side of it. Okay. Now, coming back to the emerging destinations, do you have any idea which are the emerging destinations in Europe? Let me understand from your chart. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. The emerging destinations are in Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, Malta, and this one, sorry, kind of France in that sense. So these are the European countries, and even sorry, I missed out Norway and Finland. How can I forget that? So these are the destinations which has a growing demand, even for Indian citizens, even for international students, in the tech talents, in the research areas, because those are their focus. Ireland is one of very key destination where you get an EU access entirely. It's one of the largest tech and management hub in the entire Europe, and it's an English-speaking country that way. So language barrier is pretty low that way, and Irish people are pretty nice. Netherlands again, English taught programs. They are very large startup hub ecosystem. They again, a lot of billion-dollar companies have come from Ireland that way. So Netherlands that way. So you can always look at Netherlands. Now, uh, coming towards Asian countries, Singapore is a tech and finance hub. You can always look towards NUS, NTU, SMU, some of the very top ranked universities in Singapore that you can look at it, and they do give scholarships for some of the courses. A lot of students are also looking towards mixed courses like Dubai plus US. So you can always look towards pathway kind of a course. But I would highly recommend preferring a direct course rather than a pathway course if possible, so that you have a better experience that way. Unless the course is a 1 year master's in Dubai and 1 year master's in UK or US, that way. In that case, you will get two country exposures and two country network, so that you can always have better job opportunities. Okay. Now, one of the key part about is the visa approval rates. For some of the you, and it is more valid for US that way, that US visa approval rates will vary country to country, and it has nothing to do with only a profile. It has to do with your country, your background, your country's background, and the geopolitical relationships of it. Okay. So visa approval rates, could vary, and in that, what you can do for US, at least I can advise you, because there's an interview, you can always explore visamonk.ai. Sorry for the plugin that way, but it helps you prepare for the visa interview preparation so that you're confidently talking about your intent to study in a particular country and probably do better after graduation and coming back to your home country. Okay. Otherwise, visa approval rates usually for Indian students in particular places has gone down. But if you look at for profile to profile, it does not matter, because in the I-20 they kind of see your history, what you have done, how you have come to this particular course and university. So always look at better university to reduce your visa rejection rates or increase your visa approval rates. In UK, if you are doing the applications thoroughly with proper funds, which is verifiable by the university, and your offer letter is legit, your documents are perfect, I have not seen any visa rejections, at least in UK, in the last 6 years. Australia is very, very focused on the financing perspective. They need to know that you're coming with appropriate finances to be able to support yourself in Australia. So having a very clear background of the funds is very, very important for Australia. Okay. And then Canada, I think you have to take a GIC to get a PAL. So I think that something is important to get a better visa success, because then you are showcasing to the government that you have living expenses to take care of. You're not coming empty-handed to the country and expecting the country to feed you, right? So those are the areas that you can look at it in the visa success side of it. It has more to do with the type of university that you're looking at and the fitment of the course. And are you able to justify the immigration officer that, hey, this is the course that I want to go, and this is the reason that I want to go, and that reason is kind of legit that way. The other areas could be a political stability factor. So yes, if your country relationship is not good with that country, avoid looking at that country, no matter which university it is. Just avoid it right now. One of the key, I would say, factors that I have focused on, and I believe a lot of students would also look at this, is healthcare system. In India, the healthcare system is still better, I feel, compared to other countries because of faster accessibility to the general physicians and medical this thing. But the quality of healthcare is definitely better as outside. but the availability of doctors and all could be a risky thing. So in that case, usually people look at these healthcare systems, and it would be a little bit of a trouble. So you need to understand how the healthcare system works. You just cannot walk in always, to get a GP. You need to take an appointment. Certain times it takes days and weeks. So those are the things that you need to understand. But hey, if you get a good health insurance, I think you would be a little bit better covered that way. And definitely nothing to miss about safety considerations. So yes, definitely the country's economic stability and security measures is very critical for you to study as an international student. You don't want to be mugged by someone, and there's no support in the security wise by the let's say the country. So definitely you have to look towards the safety considerations. But yes, you have to be also away from the shady areas while you're there in the US. Okay. Now, one of the most important thing that I see, and this is purely for the European standpoint, where the cultural adaptation, okay, where when you look towards Europe or even US, that's, let's say, because a lot of you will not be accustomed to the US culture or maybe Australian culture. So cultural adaptation support is very, very important. Now, in that case, usually you can go with the friendliness nature index, which is published by Statista, how friendly the people are usually, and then the language barrier. Okay. Now, the fundamental part, which is the last stage that we are at, which is having a shortlisting matrix built for yourself. Now, how you would make a shortlisting matrix, safe your schools, target schools, ambitious or reach schools. Do not just apply only on ambitious, or do not just apply for safe. Okay. Reach is basically where usually what we talk about is a 20% chance max to max to get into it. Scholarship may or may not happen. Target is there's a 50-50 chance. There's again a good chance of scholarship, but who knows? Safe is you are more likely to get it, but if you get a good scholarship, then it's worth considering safe schools. That's how usually students look at it, and that's how we guide it. Now, you need to have a balanced portfolio approach. Let's say for masters, usually people apply to 6 to 8. So 6, 2, 2, 2, and maybe two, you can diversify between safe or reach or safe or target, depending on your profile and the kind of universities that you want to try for. And definitely application timeline planning is what we talked about. If you're going for September 2025, probably next 30 to 45 days, complete your application. Do not take it to the last minute, else you will not get the visa slots for US. If you're going for UK, maybe you can do it, but it's better to apply early so that you get more scholarships, else the scholarship funds get depleted much faster. Okay. And you need to have appropriate time for visas. Documentations, definitely transcripts is one of the most problematic documents that we have seen that students are not able to arrange in time. SOP, LORs, especially letters of recommendations from your recommenders are not coming in time. That also jeopardize your entire, application side of it. And test scores. Do not skip test scores. Test scores are kind of mandatory in that way for helping you stand out and for helping you get a better chance to that university. Even if there is a medium of instruction waiver, that's good. But try and understand, out of 100 people, maybe 5 people are applying with MOI, remaining are using test scores. So if you are not using test scores, you might be eliminated quickly. Okay. And yes, education loan options you can always pre-assess through Prodigy and other platforms that way. Scholarship application strategy, always have a clear strategy about scholarships. Part-time work, we already discussed. It's US, it's around $20 to $30 at max. In UK, it's around 8 to 12 or $15. In Australia, it's around $15 to $25. Germany, around $10 to $15. That way it's there. And then having a little bit of upfront emergency fund for maybe filing your application fees, visa fees, flight tickets, early accommodation fees, all of those things you have to have an emergency fund. This is very key because let's say lender like Prodigy, you will get the loan once you land there in that university and through the university itself. So till the time you land, you need to ensure that you have some emergency fund to plan your entire journey that way. Okay. Now, in terms of some of the rankings, I can give you some resources like csranking.org is a pretty good website that I've seen, which gives you a much more nuanced research specific ranking. If you're going for QS ranking, probably pick up a subject specific and location specific rankings. There are tons of scholarship databases, FastWeb, Scholarship Owl, study for free. You can definitely look across. Again, I'm not promoting anyone. Open disclaimer, I really do not promote any platforms that way. But yes, some of these platforms I've seen, the data is there, so you can definitely try. Cost comparison tool, there are tons of them. Even if you're using GPT or Perplexity, I think you can easily use it. So, and again, always try to talk to alumni. Even I think on Prodigy Finance website, there's a feature that you can talk to some of the ex-Prodigy students. You can always ask them about, their, it's a study abroad journey. So that also could give a very interesting insight. Okay. So with this, we come to the end of the session almost. If you have any questions, please, ask in the questions. And meanwhile, I'll pick up the areas. So we have one question which is asking about the interest rate. It's a little broader question. So for US, usually I've seen a better interest rate. For other countries, slightly higher, depending on the jobs market and depending on the kind of university you're going. Even I would say for last night, one of the UK student got a really low interest rate from Prodigy. Okay. Uh, PGCE students in the UK, I'm not sure what PGCE stands for. You might need to write full form. Do I need to get my admission offer before applying, or can I apply as soon as my submitter? Very interesting. So you can apply without any offer as a dummy application, and they'll give you some kind of details in that what kind of rate of interest. And if you choose to accept, you definitely need to upload the documents. But certain things you might be asked the documents in the start of the process. It is a little tough to answer. I would let the Prodigy team to better answer it. I usually advise students to make a dummy application so that they understand that whether loan is possible for their kind of university or course or not. It's more like an eligibility check. Okay. Uh, Financing to Singapore, I think Prodigy Finance has a link where to study or which schools do they support. If you go to that link, you can write Singapore as a country and they can show which universities in Singapore they do this support. Okay. And I believe more of the loan questions, Prodigy team would be better focused to answer that. They are better capable to answer that. So I'd leave loan questions to for them to answer. If you have anything regarding shortlisting, scholarship applications, do ask, or maybe even visas that way. Mhm. Okay, being an outsourced company, I'm going to get referral code. I think you can connect to Prodigy team to know that. Definitely you can connect to me also, but that's different. Um, to all the schools. I'm sorry, I'll not be able to open the link. It's a bit.ly link. Schools and courses supported. Then I have no problem with getting tuition reasonable cost. Yes, if your schools or course is supported, then you will have almost no problem in getting the tuition and cost of living. And I believe Prodigy Finance loan approval letter has been seen a global acceptance by the embassies that they are supporting. So they work really closely with the universities and the country embassies to get those recognition. At least for US, UK, I've seen students, even for Switzerland, that way, students going to the universities seamlessly. So, and how much loan do they support for education and cost of living? They can tell you, I believe, in your application in less than 10 minutes. So make an application quickly that way. Okay. If you do not find your course and the ones, then you can always request them to look into those courses. And if they find it better, then they might even add later on, probably mail it, or you can check on the website on that. Proof of fund, I'm not sure what that is. The Prodigy Finance usually covers the tuition and or living, but they'll primarily focus on tuition fees. So yes. I don't think, Priya, that should be an option, but do check if Prodigy still funds France. There might be certain changes. I'm not very sure of it, so cannot answer that. If you want to connect to Prodigy Loan Team in India, you can directly just write to them, I guess. Mayank is there, I'm not very sure. Or you can write to us at Foreign Admits. More than happy to assist you in your loan applications. So we are the authorized partners for Prodigy Finance for helping students for education loan. So you can definitely connect to foreign admits that way, and we'll be able to help you out in your loan to visa journey. Depends what you need. Yeah. MS in Finance is the course, so I thought of how is its future. Pretty good. A lot of people are ditching MBAs and going for MS in Finance. If your finance is the focus, it's a better ROI course. It's already giving a run for money to most of the MBAs. Going for a specialized finance, be it quantitative finance or financial economics or financial modeling, is a very, very good option. Even general finance works. And if you're going for UK or US or even Australia, it's a great place. And even in Ireland also, it's pretty much in demand. There's no deadline for loan applications against September 2025 intake, but ideally, you need to have the loan sanction letter, probably loan dispersed 30 days before when you're going for UK. So it's better to, apply early. And I think the loan process of application to disbursement could take on an average of 7 to 20 days, depending on how the matching happens, right? So again, that Prodigy team would be better able to answer. Yeah, you can check your loan eligibility for Masters in Ireland as we discussed. I believe so because a lot of students did the loan repayment, Deborah, earlier through their internship stipend, through their part-time jobs. You can definitely do that and you can pay back faster. It is not always needed that you have to follow 7 years, 20 years. A lot of students even complete their loan within 3 years also. It depends on you how you want to pay back. And I don't think Prodigy charges any penalty on that. They would be more happy, I hope so, that you're paying off the loan faster, right? Yeah, absolutely. You can as many applications as possible for your school. Sometimes because you have entered certain things, it's not properly written, so you might get a rejection that way. But then if you write to them, they'll give you the idea about it. And if you need more nuance, I think it's a little nuanced question. So you can connect to foreign admits team, and we'll be able to assist you in your loan application. Okay. You can definitely write to me at nikhil@foreignadmits.com and I'll patch you with our loan counsel. $500 processing fee will be waived or deducted. I believe it's a company's decision. And to my understanding, a lot of people, uh, you know, take the offer letter may not use it properly. So it's to used to have checks and balances in place so that people do not misuse the Prodigy Finance loan offer because hey, the offer is of pretty far value that will help you get the visas also in a way. Um, mhm. Corporate finance is also a pretty good aspect that you can explore it. Sorry, I'll skip more of the loan questions. I'm not allowed, I would say, in that way, and neither I know most of that to be able to answer it. But anyone has any other questions, I'll be very happy to answer that way.
Nikhil, thank you so much for joining us today. We have 3 more minutes left. And as you mentioned, there is a lot of process-related questions that our support team can answer. So to everybody that hasn't had their question answered, please write to info@prodigyfinance.com. I'll pop a broadcast message to everybody with our details, and then you can simply write to our team who are on standby to help answer all of those questions. Does anybody have any questions for Nikhil? Okay. Okay, it's very still very process related questions, Nikhil. So I'm just going to wrap it up. And as I mentioned, if you do still have questions or your questions were not answered, please write to info@prodigyfinance.com and our support team are on standby to help. You could also visit the Prodigy Finance website. So just go to Google, type Prodigy Finance, visit our website and spend some time exploring our FAQs, blog posts. You can even chat to a mentor from the Prodigy Finance website. To get an offer, you need to register an account. Simply spend a few minutes sharing some details, and we'll give you an instant offer. So we'll tell you how much we can offer you. If you do require to prove savings, that will also be provided. It will tell you your repayment term. It will tell you your repayment amount. So you can just simply submit an application, even if you don't have an admission and you're just shopping around and you want to see the best offer for a specific university. You can simply just submit multiple applications to see what your offer is for those various schools. But Nikhil, thank you so much for joining us today. It was super, super insightful. USA always seems to be the top destination for international students, but after listening to you, I'm probably going to see a lot of people going to Ireland or to Malta for their study abroad destination. But once again, if you do have any questions, reach out to the support team. If you do need any assistance with your application or your visa application, you can reach out to Foreign Admit. You can Google them or follow them on Instagram as well. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. We hope you found the session insightful.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.